Wait! Don't go any further! Stop!
Hi. So, we're here talking with two about Mr. James Lovett. We're back with him again. It's been a couple weeks since I've done a video of his, I think. And here we're talking about car insurance. So he's going on about car insurance and what the things you need to know if you're a national. So let's listen to what he has to say. Now keep in mind he has no web page in front of him, or behind him rather. So we know right off the bat that he is not going to cite any references whatsoever. So let's watch and see what he has to say.
YouTube, family, friends, and country peoples. All right. So you are inquiring about car insurance as a national or a state citizen. Okay. So you've removed yourself from having a social, or you're abandoning the social itself altogether.
So just to backtrack here, what he's advocating for is relinquishing or getting rid of your social security number. I've looked into it, and that is not possible. You can't just arbitrarily say, I'm not going to use my So you just decide one day that you're not going to get a social security number, or you're not going to live with a social security number anymore. You're just shooting yourself in the foot. I don't get it, James.
Or you're an authorized agent of it and you just don't want to use it, something of that nature. Okay?
So he really doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just rattling off information that he's probably read online or from other YouTube people that think the same way he does.
The way you're going to do that, well, I would recommend, if you already have it, keep it. Don't try to redo it just to say, hey, I'm a national, and so I'm getting rid of my insurance and I'm going to start all over again, because it's a hassle. They already have the information, blah, blah, blah. It's their stuff. I would say don't try to change your stuff. If it's already
if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
in place. But if you really feel that way strongly, which I'm not mad at you, there's two things, okay? So I'm going to get to the bond part, because I know somebody else had mentioned wanting to find out more information about that. And
the bond stuff is really interesting. Wait till you hear what he has to say about that.
The other person asked, well, how do I get it as a national? So how you get it as a national is like this, okay? If you already have your passport, you're going to use your passport number.
No, you don't. No, you don't. And I will put up here the reason why. Because the passport number is solely for passports, and it means nothing to any other system in the United States government other than passport numbers. They do that on purpose.
Okay. Now, online, some forms won't take the number. Okay, they just won't.
If they do take it, it's simply by coincidence. The DMV in the United States doesn't care what your passport is. The systems are not connected.
Well, the spaces aren't correct in there because it's a difference between the two different numbers. Some of them will. If you enter it in and they take it, Yahtzee. If the form doesn't take it, or they say, you have to call in or whatever else, you call in and tell them that you are a U.S. national or state citizen, and by law, you can't deny me for not having a social security number or even asking me for that number.
He is correct. By law, you are not required to have a social security number. That is your choice. Generally, your parents do it when you're children. They apply for your social security number when you're a child, because it's something that everybody uses. It's something that everybody needs, especially in the United States, because that's how you file taxes.
You have to use, or you can use my passport number, okay? If for some reason you really want that particular company and they won't take it, then I would suggest going to the IRS and applying for an ITIN number.
That is the alternative to having a social security number. If you do not want to have a social security number, you can apply for an ITIN number. That is valid. That is perfectly fine as far as the IRS are concerned because they want you to file taxes.
Okay, it's the same as a social security number, but it's for nationals specifically. For foreign,
It is not for nationals specifically. It is for, well, I'm going to put that up here above me. You'll see that up right now. And you'll see that the ITIN number is not specifically for U.S. nationals because there's no such thing. But it is acceptable to file taxes with an ITIN number.
foreign people, non-resident aliens of that nature. So those would be your ways of doing it. Now, when you contact the company to give them your passport number, the agent may not be able to help you because typically most agents are low-level functionaries. Okay.
Right, because they have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. You can call up some insurance company to get insurance on your car, and they say, okay, can I have your social security number? And you give them your passport number. How does that make sense?
So, a little Dr. Evil quote there. So you want to talk to their manager or somebody above them and give them your information and tell them, hey, I'm a national. I was never issued one. I talked to the government. This is my passport. Everything on here is legit. This is the number I'm recognized by. So this is what we have to use.
Not by the IRS. It's a different branch of the government. They do not recognize your passport number as validated identification for filing things like taxes.
So those are your ways. An ITIN number, doing it online, keeping your old one and just utilizing it, or else utilizing your passport number. And if it's not accepted online, then you're going to want to call in the agency and talk to probably a manager. All right. For those people who want to find out information about doing it in the bond way, or
This gets weird.
else the, I guess if you will, LPN way, which is kind of the same way.
What's an LPN anyway? Oh yeah, it's this.
Just go online, and once again, people, this is all for educational purposes. I'm not reliable for this information. I'm just telling you what I would
You're not reliable for this information? Definitely. I would 100% agree. Not reliable whatsoever.
do or what I have done. So that being said, you go online and you type up, blank bond, okay? And once you find that, it'll be like a blank piece of paper with the official bond kind of like seal looking around there. Now, if has somebody else's logos or information on there like that, you're going to want to remove all of that, okay? So just copy all the information, the wording. This is a bond for me with as a national, put your name, information, your address, and then you're going to want to find out how much your vehicle is worth. And then standard insurance is usually right around, you need about $100 to $200,000 or $300,000 in coverage. Okay, so on your bond, you're going to want to put in information like this is good for full coverage for hospital, for this, for that, for whatever, blah blah blah, all that stuff, right? Okay. Then you're going to put in information on there, giving the issue. You're the issuer, and whoever the receiver is, the ability to monetize that on there. So I, so and so, give permission to the bearer of this bond to give it to a bank or such institutions or people as necessary to be monetized.
I'm just letting him finish because I have a lot to say about this.
For all debts, public and private. Okay? Because basically, and then you leave your spot where you sign it open until hopefully you don't get into any accidents. But at that time, you're going to need to sign that.
So what he's saying is he's advocating to create your own bond. He's saying that you can create a document with your information, and then if you get into an accident, you can sign this bond and give it to the other individual, other party in the accident, and that will qualify as a insurance or coverage that he would require if he had, I don't know, some other insurance company, right? In Canada, we have, or actually, I'm going to say in my province here in Manitoba, we have public insurance, Manitoba Public Insurance. Everybody needs that. That's basic coverage for every single person in the province. You have to have that. So what he's saying is that you can create a document that will suffice or will take the place of having insurance by an approved carrier or broker. This is absolute nonsense. There is that a document that you print out at home, and just because it has your signature, is supposed to have the force of law or have any kind of guarantee that this is going to be paid. Banks allow you to write checks from your account. There's an account number on it, and that check is insured by the bank. That the person the bank issues you a check, and you use that check as payment for something. Okay, whatever it is, doesn't matter. So when you write the check, you sign it, that check now has weight behind it. It has the insurance of an insurance company, a bank, that the person cashing that check will be guaranteed their money. But if you do it at home on your computer and you just print it out, that is nothing. Can you imagine if you get into an accident with this guy and he hands you this piece of paper saying, oh yeah, this is fine, take it to the bank and it'll cover you? I'm going to laugh in the guy's face and say, what, are you kidding me? No, it does not work that way. This is not how our society is built. There's insurance companies for a reason.
Because they can then take that to a bank because it's now a debt, okay, and they can monetize that as a debt.
No, you can't. That piece of paper that he prints out at home, and just because it has his signature, means absolutely nothing.
Because your signature is worth money, okay? So that's how you would travel.
Your signature is not worth money. There is nothing to indicate that your signature is valuable beyond contract law. That's it. That's it. That's all. Yes, you could argue that the document he prints out and signs and hands to you as the other party in an accident, because it has a signature, does qualify as a contract. But it leaves him avenues to get out of paying because it's not a real contract. It has no insurance. There's nothing that says that I have to pay that money.
With a bond, because it's basically a promise to pay. Now, there's two ways. Either they can take it and monetize it, or they can take it and hold that to you that you're going to have to work off this particular debt, which usually would mean that...
So he's proposing that you work off the debt. So I get into an accident with James. He hands me this piece of paper, and instead of him paying for the repairs on my vehicle, which is why people have insurance, he says, no, this is sufficient. And instead of paying you a monetary sum, I'm going to work it off. That has no value to me. What am I going to do? I live in an apartment. What is he going to do in my place? Nothing. So I have no value for his labor. I want his money. That's why we have insurance.
To collect an LPN, they have to come to your house, or you're agreeing that you would make payments, such and such, every month until it's paid off.
If I get into an accident with this guy, I don't have anything to do with him. I don't want to go to his house. I don't want to see him. I want to get paid my money. I want the repairs to my vehicle paid for. And that's it. That's why we have insurance companies. It takes the conflict out. Because anytime that I go to James and say, hey, I'm collecting on my debt, James would turn around and say, what debt?
Okay, with no prepayment penalty, so you want to put stuff like that on your bond. It can be, material objects can be utilized towards payment. So give yourself
What is he going to do? Give me his TV?
these rules and these clauses in there. And then you're going to want to take that and put that inside of your folder. Like I always tell people, I have my own travel folder with all this stuff in there.
That's another thing. This travel folder crap is absolute, frankly, travel folder. So a cop pulls you over because you don't have insurance, because you don't have any license plates on your car. And instead of handing over your driver's license and proof of insurance, you hand him a binder full of documents that mean absolutely nothing to a police officer. He's not an insurance broker, he's not a lawyer, and he's not a judge. So I got nothing.
And then you're good to go. So those would be the ways that you can travel in your car or get car insurance and be protected. Okay.
Okay, so this is the rule here. It's true everywhere, Canada, United States, doesn't matter who. If you're going to use public roads that are paid for by the Minister of Transportation, yes, your taxes go into paying that. Okay, the roads are maintained by the government. In order to use those roads, the government just wants simply that you be licensed, that you have insurance, and that your car is registered with the government. Just those three things. It's that simple. It doesn't cost anything extra. Doing it this way is incredibly complicated. And incredibly confrontational, because you're putting yourself out there to be swindled. That's just the bottom line. James could turn around and say, I don't know what you're talking about. That's not my signature. What are you going to do then? There's no recourse. That's why we have insurance, James.
Now I know it sounds strange to some of you guys, just because you've never done that. You're used to being in the system. Okay, why does a bird who is always in a cage stay in a cage when the door is open? Because it's scary out there. Okay, it's different. I'm not used to the lay of the land. I don't get it. For those people who have already done it and living this way, there's thousands of us across the world who are, or at least in the United States for sure, who've done this and who live this way. It's different.
And they provide hours of endless enjoyment to us little people here, just watching them fail every single time they try to use their so-called privileges that this sovereign citizen movement gives them, and every time they fail.
But it's living outside the fence. It's the difference between, the horse that lives in the kingdom and the fun and the things it goes through, and the horse that lives out in the wild pastures and the fun and the things they can do. There's goods and bads to both sides. It's not easy, but this is how we get it done. So if you want to live more free, this is how it's done, people. All right. So once again, this is just wrapping up about car insurance as a national or state citizen, and utilizing these methods in order to protect yourself and, to protect those people who you might get into an accident with. But as I always say, if you're going to do this either way, what you've got regular insurance, real insurance, or a bond, or an LPN, drive.
LPN, what the fuck is... oh yeah, I know what an LPN is. Okay, there we go. Okay.
Safe, drive cautiously, always, no matter what, and be prepared. Biggest thing about me, people are always asking, well, now that I have to go to court tomorrow, now that I've gotten into this accident, and it's like, prevention, people. Prevention. My biggest thing, all these videos are made for prevention. This is to prevent you from getting into something so you have something prepared before.
No, it's not about prevention. It's about you thinking you're special because you think you found a loophole, and you think that you know better than the people that created the system in the first place. You think that the Constitution gives you certain rights and privileges that other people don't have. That's not how this works, James.
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
If you want to follow him, by all means, go right ahead. But this man has made several assertions without providing any evidence. There's nothing in his argument that makes any sense because he thinks that the rules don't apply to him, and that is just wrong. That's all. That's it. That is just wrong.